I've lost trust in almost everyone and I don't know what to do. I have just moved back in with my parents a couple months back. I have been dealing with mental health issues from a very young age, but my biggest downfall is my chronic people-pleasing and black and white thinking. I have always been a people pleaser, and with this I have always been so critical of my personality. If I do something, even unintentionally, that upsets or hurts someone, I will be convinced that I am a bad person and my mind goes to some very dark places. I have always needed a support system and have always been very dependent on my friends. I will do almost anything for them, and when they start to break down I usually try my very best to stop that from happening, and when it does the guilt of what I might have done wrong haunts me for years. This mindset of mine has left me taken advantage of, usually financially, and betrayed multiple times by people I trusted dearly. Being 22, I do realize this, and I have started to build a little resilience. I thought I had filtered out all the false friendships and gotten myself a decent support system in my friends, family, and boyfriend. However, I've watched all of this implode on me within a matter of months. I recently found out a couple of my closest friends have taken advantage of and betrayed me. My parents have both separately done things to disrespect my trust in them. I've had to give them literal marriage counseling multiple times. My boyfriend, although I love him deeply, doesn't realize how much I am struggling with this, and, although I know he loves me, he has been very dismissive when I've confided in him. He is also long distant at the moment, and we have only gotten to talk over the phone for about 10 minutes a week recently. I feel like I've lost trust in everyone, especially my friends and family. I don't feel comfortable to confide in my boyfriend. I feel like my whole support system is broken. I have previously tried therapy, which helped a little for the most part, but I feel almost abandoned and left alone when they stop seeing me. I feel like I'm stuck in a ditch that I can see no way of escaping. Thank you for reading, I really appreciate it. Story 2. I wish I could love him the way I've loved before. I wish I could fall in love for the first time again. A character in a TV show I watch once said, "That kind of love, you only get it when you're young and stupid." I was 18 the first time I fell in love with someone, and he treated me like I meant nothing. For 3 years I gave him absolutely everything I had, and all he did was take while making empty promises. Every time he hurt me, I talked in circles and communicated my feelings until I was blue in the face, hoping that it would make him understand me and try to fix things. He always said he'd try, but never would. When I'd call him on it, he always made excuses, and I don't know why I kept believing him. Still, I was nothing short of completely devastated when our relationship ended. The pain was unbearable. He got a new girlfriend within 3 months, which I unluckily found out about on Valentine's Day. It took me almost a year to get over my ex. I'm doing 10x better now. I recently started seeing a new guy. We haven't made it official yet, but he's lovely. He's doing all the things I'd previously hoped my ex would do for me. He asks to see me, thanks me for my time, plans dates, and takes initiative. He surprised me with flowers and chocolates after dates. He cuddles me and makes me feel safe. I've never felt insecure or confused about his feelings towards me. But loving feels stressful now. I wish I could naively dive in headfirst like I did when I was 18. I keep remembering how I had no fear or doubt when I fell in love for the first time. It was effortless, I was enamored despite the glaring issues. I'm so different now. I overanalyze everything and constantly wonder if the things the guy I'm seeing does are normal or red flags. It feels like I'm subconsciously trying to find reasons we won't work out. I'm driving myself insane. I wish I could give the first love kind of love to him instead. Story 3. A friendship breakup left everything so messy and I can't stop obsessing. A couple of years ago I decided to end a friendship with a person I've known for a long time. I will not describe the situation which led to it because it would take a million characters. We're both late 30s. I was never too thrilled with our friendship to begin with, but when she did something really insulting and petty, I decided I was done. For years now I cannot come to peace with it. I've been mulling things over for years. I have all these different feelings all at once. I feel sad about how things turn out and I don't hate her, but there is no way I can go back to being friends with her. I'm so mad, but I feel guilty that I'm mad. She has her own issues which she projects on other people, so I feel bad for her because she's insecure. But those insecurities drive her to be mean and petty and I cannot handle a minute more of her drama. She has a husband and 2 kids and I feel sad that I'm basically ignoring them too. It makes me feel evil. Sad face. So it's like a mini nightmare. I know for sure I can't be friends with that person, but so much ugliness has arisen from the whole situation. But I cannot go back to that friendship because I would be miserable. It's such a lose-lose. It's also awkward in our friend circle. She, of course, has spoken with basically each of our friends and told them some version of what happened, no idea what exactly, probably that I'm a weirdo who ghosted her for no reason, while I have kept completely quiet. My partner, my mom, and some friends are telling me I'm crazy to be obsessing so much, but I can't stop. How do other people do it? How do you break up with a longtime friend and keep your sanity? BTW, she still watches my stories on Instagram and it makes me so uncomfortable. Story 4. There are days I love my boyfriend that I could die for him, and other days I want to break up with him. I've started birth control not long ago because my boyfriend and I are sexually active. Ever since, some days I'm normal and think of spending my life with him, while other days, I want to KMS and break up with him. On those days that are getting more frequent, I think about how bad of a girlfriend I am. For instance, whenever he asks me if he annoys me, I always tell him no, but yes, sometimes he does annoy me. I feel like an hypocrite because I always tell him that communication is the key to a relationship. I feel like if I told him, then he would stop ranting to me, which I think it is important, but also it is weighting me down. Sometimes I think about feeling trapped. Because we always tell each other that we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together, and we always tell each other how much we mean to one another. Long distance relationship, but on the bad days, it makes me feel like I have no escape. I think about breaking up with him because I feel like I'm gonna miss out on having different experiences. My boyfriend is really not my type, but I find him attractive. Since we haven't known each other for a long time, at the start of the summer, I sometimes see him as a stranger, and the thought of a stranger looking at me and talking to me suddenly scares me. It's like I cannot recognize him, that I don't see him as a familiar face. It's so weird. The first time I met his family, I went to the bathroom and cried because I wasn't used to talking to very social people and it was overwhelming. My first thought was to get through it and then I would break up with him. The whole night he just spent the time watching TV, and it was very frustrating because here I was in a very new setting with people that are literally strangers to me, making uncomfortable jokes, and him not trying to make me feel less lonely or cared for. I'm soon gonna be meeting his friends and it scares me because when he called me drunk the other day, he seemed so different from what he shows me of himself, and I am scared that the same situation will unfold. Lastly, moving to my home country has always been a goal and something that I will do anything make it happen in the future, but whenever I ask him if he would like to come with me, he's always reluctant and doesn't like to hear me speak my native language when I'm with him. It breaks my heart because it is something very important to me, and even if I tell him that it won't be permanent, he doesn't seem to like the idea. Story 5. I feel like my girlfriend doesn't want me to meet her family and it's starting to hurt. Girlfriend and I have been together 4 years. I have never once met her family, but I have met her friends. I come from the foster system, so I don't have any family to introduce her to. I'm smart, have a well-paying job, am college educated, care for myself and pay all my expenses on my own. I also spoil her from time to time too. We're both white Americans, so there is no cultural reason for this other than her family is higher class than I am. We just moved in together a few months ago and things are great, but again have not met her family. She is super close with them too and always speaks highly of them, visits them way more often than most people do despite them living a few hours away. I'm her longest relationship ever too, and still nothing. She introduced her ex to them after just 6 months and they only dated a year and a half, and this ex was unemployed, a slob, and practically mooching off of her. I just don't get it. Every time the subject comes up she just dismisses it. About a year ago, when I had been in a bad depressive slump for a little while, she went full mask off and said she didn't want her family to meet me because she was scared I'd embarrass her and that they wouldn't like me. That hurt, but we made up and I cleaned up my act and I've done a lot better. Anyways, this is all coming to a head because her parents finally demanded they meet me after her younger brother introduced his girlfriend of 2 months to them. She finally relented and it's happening next week, but every time the subject comes up she says things like I couldn't put this off any longer, sorry, and it's for my mom. And it just really hurts. Other than this, our relationship is perfect, but I really can't understand why I'm being treated this way when it comes to this. I want to confront her about these comments, but need help on how to bring this up and what to say. Story 6. I'm so conflicted on how I feel about my dad's side of my family. Because of a lot, and I truly mean a lot of arguments and fights, most of which were one-sided and just him trying to tell me how to act and feel, I've had with my dad over the past year, we mutually decided it was best if we cut each other off for a while. I didn't grow up with my dad. Due to some circumstances surrounding his life, he was absent for the first few years of me growing up. His family wasn't though. I only started regularly seeing him every weekend once I started to approach double-digit age, and because of that, the moment I gave him an inch of control of my life when I became an adult, he chose to take a mile. Anyways, I used to visit his place every weekend because he wanted quality time with me. None of this was ever agreed in a court, as I don't believe he has legal custody of me and I'm no longer a minor, so it doesn't matter anyways. But I used to visit every weekend, and see my wonderful stepbrother and his mom, my grandmother, whose house it is they live in, and every now and then his oldest sister, my aunt, would drop by too. My grandma called me the other day asking why I haven't visited, and I was shocked to learn my dad didn't tell her, or apparently anyone, because today my aunt called and asked me the same question. My grandma is worried if I'm eating enough and if I have money. I answered kinda, as I am job hunting RN, but she usually gives me allowance, and my aunt told me a gift she prepared for me arrived and was wondering when they would get to see me next. Anyways, I just miss everyone on his side of the family except him RN, but he was really emotionally toxic and draining to me, so I really don't want to deal with him.